in an exclusive conversation with NewsX. It is the External Affairs Minister of our country, S. Jaishankar, who has spoken, and we'll be putting out that interview on the hot mic at 9 p.m. today, only on NewsX. And in particular, here's an excerpt that I'm going to put out, and there is a contrast that the minister speaks with regards to Modi's foreign policy and how the opposition leader Rahul Gandhi portrays things of India across the globe. Take a look.
His visit to Cambridge. I think all Indians, I would advise Indians to go and listen to his lectures. You should see the admiration for China in that lecture. You know, it comes through repeatedly.
Indian democracy is under pressure, is under attack, right? I'm an opposition leader in India, and we are navigating that space. What's happening? The institutional framework, which is required for a democracy, parliament, a free press, the judiciary, just the idea of mobilization, just the idea of moving around, these are all getting constrained. So we're facing an attack on the basic structure of Indian democracy. The Chinese value harmony. They are not, individual liberty is not central to their idea. Okay, their idea is much more about the society being in harmony, because they've had massive tremors, right? They've had huge amounts of pain. They've had revolution. They've had civil war. They've had the Cultural Revolution. So what they don't want is that things go out of control, that things spiral out of control and disorder comes, which is legitimate. For them, it's as legitimate as individual liberty is for the United States. Right?
All right. So, Rishabh, while you were talking to the External Affairs Minister, this particular interview is what of Rahul Gandhi he was referring to?
Yeah, it's not an interview. It's a speech that Rahul Gandhi made, a presentation he made in Cambridge. This was, I think, the summer of 2023. Now, what Ambassador Jaishankar is specifically saying, that you just listen to his speech. I'm sure a lot of people part of your panel today, as well as people watching the broadcast, may have heard the speech. If you've not, it's available online. You can listen to it. And I said, okay, now compare the speech. In the speech, and you've just heard a snippet of it, a former Congress party president, member of parliament in the Lok Sabha, okay, is saying that India as a country, its institutional democracy, its judges, its media, everything is basically broken. It's hammered. We are in constitutional chaos. That's the tenor that he sets about India. You've just heard what he says about China, that individual liberties don't really matter to the Chinese. If you remember the speech, he goes on to say that he was advised by a senior member of the Communist Party, and his entire perspective on China was shaped by a member of the Chinese Communist Party. Then he goes on to say how he admires Deng Xiaoping and this example of the Yellow River that flows from Tibet, and how the Chinese plan to tame it, and it's a bit like a river, bit meandering. It's for the Congress Party to come and explain whether that's the party position. But if you look at tone and tenor, okay, it seems that you have a leader of the Congress Party who's saying India is in trouble, and a communist autocracy, a dictatorship under Xi Jinping, is actually doing nicely. And the specific point that I asked the External Affairs Minister on this, and he answered on this. In this speech, Rahul Gandhi specifically says that you can understand their need and desire for the Belt and Road. Now, everybody knows that the CPEC corridor, which runs over Indian soil in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, is part of the Belt and Road. It's a question of sovereignty for India. Now, what is the subtlety, what was the reasoning behind why Rahul Gandhi would say something like this is, of course, for him and the Congress Party to explain. But this is the emphasis that the External Affairs Minister was drawing on the political realm on this. And he said 2 points. Number one, go and criticize us. Don't go and criticize the country abroad. Save your politics for back home. Number two, don't go gaga over China. They're not your friends. Because in India, you take a very nationalistic position and question the government on China. But you are here claiming that the Belt and Road Initiative is a great thing when it's a sovereign issue for India. And of course, the full excerpts are playing out on your screens, and you can watch the full interview very shortly.
Very interesting in terms of the analogy that has been made by the minister. I'm going to quickly get Ambassador Mahesh Sachdeva about how this becomes as a statement that was made by the External Affairs Minister, where he is attacking the Congress, where he is attacking Rahul Gandhi, and he's saying that, listen, this is the sovereignty of the country which is at stake. And if he is hinting at the Belt and Road Initiative of the Chinese and Rahul Gandhi and Congress supporting this initiative, which is again intrusive, which is again then asking India to let go of its sovereignty, is something of a question that will be raised by the BJP against the Congress, and in turn by the country, to ask questions of the Congress of what it means in supporting the CCP, in supporting Xi Jinping and China.
Thank you. It's a tricky one, particularly in the oral gymnastics that are going on during the election year in India. But the point that Honorable Minister for External Affairs have made are valid and are unexceptionable. You can criticize the ruling party, you can criticize specific personalities, but to criticize the country, to criticize its system as broken, is not only factually incorrect, but it's bad politics, as it provides ammunition to domestic detractors. Secondly, I think on Belt and Road Initiative, the admirations are not in order. Understanding it is possible, perhaps, but justifying it is not. By that token, you can talk about strategy of pearl of strings around India. You can talk about all sort of things that are understandable, but are not in India's own interest. So for an Indian politician to provide some kind of fig leaf to these sort of anti-India moves is also a bit under the belt. Here, I would like also to take the example of how Westerners or established democracies, as they would like to be called, their leader of opposition, etc., behave when they are abroad. You've had leaders being asked to go to countries where government-to-government relations are fragile. For example, when a US Marine ran away to North Korea and was captured, it was an opposition politician, I think it was Jesse Jackson, who was sent to North Korea. And he didn't use that occasion to bombast the powers that be. Similarly, when you have other instances, you always find, if it's a coagulated, well-established political ecosystem, you find somebody who's, let's say, not part of the government, perhaps in opposition, has known differences with the government, but he behaves in a way that is that balances the national interest and his own partisan politics.
Yeah.
When Kachariu was handed over decades ago to Sri Lanka, Tamil Nadu's politicians exhibited that kind of savviness, and one would have liked the leader of opposition also to be similarly circumspect.
Okay. Okay. I have with me Major General G.G. Dwivedi as well. And the kind of comments that had been made by Rahul Gandhi in his speech, and the speech is a few years old, talking about how China values harmony, a country that has fought civil wars, has fought invasions, has come to be the second largest economy, a powerful economy to be reckoned with across the globe. And a reflection of what S. Jaishankar has spoken about Rahul Gandhi and about Congress, of how Rahul's ideology, his thought process is something that is akin to what the Congress ideology was and continues to be since the Nehruvian period.
Well, Megha, first and foremost, I think let's start with the comments of Mr. Rahul Gandhi. In fact, I had followed this interview when it was aired last year. I think his comments are not in good taste. And secondly, he appears to be grossly ill-informed about China. And I say that with certain degree of credibility because I am a student of China, teach this subject in the universities, and therefore I like to make a couple of points on how we read China. First and foremost, China itself is a very complex country to understand because most of the people go wrong. So to that extent, Rahul Gandhi, ill-informed, making incorrect statement can be well understood. Second point is that today, when we look at a policy, there is a foreign policy, please understand that foreign policies are a continuum. They are a continuum over a period of time, and largely they are bipartisan because the nation foreign policies generally are aligned no matter which party comes into power, but the national interests are well aligned. But today, what has happened, what has changed is that we are in a global. What is happening abroad it has impact on the internal politics and vice versa. Therefore, there is a great degree of overlap. Now, coming specifically to China, because Chinese are a hugely autocratic country and their policies are largely driven by the person who is in power. After Xi Jinping came to power in 2012, the Chinese policies have undergone a considerable change. They are very aggressive, they are very cohesive, and they are also dominating the global scene through economic policies, and BRI is one such tool. And BRI is a cohesive tool, let me tell you. It is using checkbook diplomacy, it is using debt traps, and it has not been appreciated along the globe. So it's very surprising as to how Mr. Rahul Gandhi has appreciation for BRI because it has been actually huge resistance to BRI both in African countries, closer home, Sri Lanka and Pakistan. All these countries have gone into debt trap. So all I can say is that it's very unfair to the country to make wrong statements which are inimical to our interest on the foreign soil. That's not done. That's against the country's national interest. And secondly, trying to make statement about a country which is hostile to us, giving appreciation, accolades, I think it speaks very poorly on the misinformation about our leaders in the Congress. And all I can say is that...
I'll come back to you, sir. Advocate Manas Vithapar. Now, the correlation that has been drawn by the statement that has been made by Dr.
let me speak because I have to...
Okay, ma'am, I'll come to you if you have to leave early. And in China and see, how do you view this? On the one end, you have political brickbats your way, where the Congress comes out and says that when Prime Minister Narendra Modi comes out and speaks about how not even an inch of land has been given away to the Chinese along the line of actual control. And they speak about how in actuality it allegedly has been in Depsang plains and and the Gogra area. And on the other end, when S. Jaishankar makes a comment, makes a statement and says that the Congress is accused of jeopardizing its sovereignty in exchange of allowing for initiatives, programs like Belt and Road initiatives to come into India and to accede our territory.
First and foremost, Mr. Jaishankar is extremely equipped as not just the external affairs minister, but somebody who is knowledgeable on this entire issue to speak on all forums. You have a sad commentary of Rahul Gandhi, who has continued to be a repeat offender. We know the kind of comments he has made whenever he goes overseas about India, which are not only derogatory in nature, but which also show us in poor light. Now, here again, you have had him compliment China, and we all know the equation with China. Our Honorable Prime Minister has spoken not just once, but multiple times that not a square inch of India's land has ever been given to China or is ever a bone of contention, because we are a strong government. When you are a strong government, you ensure every bit of your country is safe, secure, and that people do not mess with the issues which we stand up for. If you take a reference to context, the Congress party, which has been lax on all border issues, the Prime Minister, whether it's Maoism, whether it's Naxalites, whether it's terrorism or protecting our borders, has been amply clear, as has the Bharatiya Janata Party. That's why we keep telling people that this vote on for this general election is a referendum to continue strong, majboot sarkars, and not those that are compromised with appeasement and ideologies to only cater to certain segments. Even when you look at the infiltrators coming from Bangladesh, the Prime Minister spoke about the Rohingyas. The Rahul Gandhi and his party chose to treat it as if it's some kind of a anti-Muslim stand. It is nothing but appeasement on the Congress's part and continues to be the same vis-a-vis China too.
Okay, but do you think the narrative of the line of actual control and the skirmish that had happened, and this was in 2020, and after that, does this carry weight for domestic elections to be party to the kind of brickbats, to the kind of attacks that opposition parties by way of political parties, the likes of BJP and the Congress, take shots at each other over China?
No. I don't think this is a valid argument at all. First, do understand this is a general election. The issues are very different. People want to know about their safety, security, basic amenities, health, education, housing, etc. And for those who are constantly deriving a narrative which is negative is one thing, but to defame your own country in front of others and on global soil, and to say that China is so great and has done so much and we are, as if we are some followers, I think that shows a very negative stand for the political party in concern, and I think it needs to be condemned in totality.
Does it impact the voter is what I wanted to ask as well, because
not at all. That's why
the second, in 2019, when terrorism was taken head on by the BJP government, when there were surgical strikes, there was a resonance amongst the countrymen that this is the way the country needs to go in tackling terrorism.
But that is the same point the Prime Minister is making. It's all about nationalism and taking up for your country. Don't forget, whether it was Pulwama or Balakot, the country stood united with the Prime Minister, and the strong opinion of the people and the citizens is something that is known to one and all. And do understand, this election, there is no anti-incumbency, there is a pro-incumbency, because we have acted like a strong government.
Okay.
And continue to do so.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Shaina.
Thank you.
Advocate Manasvi Thapar, now the parallel that has been drawn in the comment that has been made by Dr. S. Jaishankar, how do you view this narrative that has been played out? You've even heard the Cambridge speech that was made by Rahul Gandhi. Was it a faux pas, just a slip of tongue, like Sam Pitroda made just a few weeks ago? Or is there a method to the madness that Congress and Rahul Gandhi follow?
See, one thing is that what is love for China? When I say that Subramaniam Swamy in his tweet dated 13 March 2024 says that 4,064 kilometers of our land has been swallowed by the Chinese. So that something has not given us any answer till date. So this is also questionable from the point of view of the government. This is the tweet written by the BJP MP, a senior most BJP leader. So that answer is still uncertain. That answer remains silent. And old videos of Rahul Gandhi pick and choose, and whatever he spoke was not in a good light. As an opposition leader, as a leader from India, or anyone from India goes abroad should talk about India, how strong we are, how better we can be than other countries, and we are the mother of democracy. There's no doubt about it. We may have differences in our understanding of the government and the opposition. That can be debated, discussed, or deliberated in India itself. But that has nothing to do with giving lectures or speeches or taking acknowledgements from the other countries. But having said that, there are two questions which come to my mind would be, whenever these kind of issues of China comes in, the first thing which BJP spokesperson or BJP leaders would say, that Congress and Communist Party of China had signed MOU. So my question, the counter would be that if they have signed that MOU, if this is a threat to the nation, why those signatories from India are not behind the bars? What action as a government have been taken against those signatories with that MOU with the Chinese government, the Chinese political party, the single party of China? So that the action part is not there. So what happens is, Instagram Reels get promoted, Instagram, Twitter Reels get promoted, because these things people watch. But the reality is, what is that action against Rahul Gandhi if someone who's trying to break India with the Chinese forces, as per the BJP spokespersons, come out? Then what action have you taken against this anti-national known as Rahul Gandhi? That action is not on ground done by them. So the reality is that if there is an MOU which is anti-India, then there has to be some action against that particular individual, or ban that political party once for all. If that is anti-India.
Tomorrow when Rahul Gandhi decides to go to Cambridge and make statement like China values harmony and it has fought civil wars and it has come victorious, and it is a burgeoning economy and an economy to be reckoned with, what action can a government of India take?
No, I'm talking about the MOU signed by them with the Chinese government with this particular thing. So what action the government could take, the action government is already taking it. When Jaishankar ji comes after a 2-3 year old video, he talks about it. Why he talks right now is, it's also very selective and political and electoral on this. So this particular thing, he brings it up and talks about...
This video has been, when it got released, it went viral. There had been a lot of attack that Rahul Gandhi and Congress had to face from the BJP side as well, from our foreign minister, from the rest of the ministers in the cabinet of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Yeah.
Rightly my point is, so let me make my point and then you give a counter question on that. So rightly, on that particular video, he was already criticized by all the media houses, by all the panelists of all the political parties, and it was not well taken by anyone in the country. Now you, after 3-4 years, you bring back that video again, because this suits your narrative. Now, after that, there's so many things which other people have also said. The question which comes to the mind of a common citizen would be, when Subramaniam Swamy, who's your own MP, who's elected by your own political cadre, he speaks that 4,064 square kilometers have been swallowed by China. What is that answer? That question has not been asked. So as a sovereign nation, as a nation which loves our country, and there could be questions to all sides, and why not?
I'm sure you know that the once member of parliament, Subramaniam Swamy, has sort of a falling out with the BJP. But okay.
But the questions remains, na?
Okay.
The point is not the fallout or fall in. The point remains, the question remains. Has 1 inch of India land been given to China? If his question is not valid, so register an FIR against him for faking news, creating unrest in the country. So that action, my point is on the action. If I am a liar, point an action on me. If I am not a liar, accept that there has been some mistakes from the government on the land grabber, which is the China. So that silence is not working out, and the silence cannot be justified that this particular person had a fallout with the government or the BJP.
Okay, then Manasvi, is this narrative? Are people catching up on this narrative? Is it really mattering on the ground when people go out and vote and cast their vote for whichever political party and leader that they want to? Is the China narrative, whether it is pro-BJP or pro-Congress, working?
No, as of now. If you're asking me point blank on the electoral point of view, it is not. Last election, the patriotic feeling was with the attack on the Pakistani front, but this election is not a patriotic feeling on which electoral votes are going to be taken up. It's Bhagwan Ram Mandir and Article 370, which is the central mudda of this election. It's not that
it
the
has
China
also been because the Prime Minister has spoken about ghar pe ghus ke marenge. This is after the reports that have poured in from New York Times and other international media houses about the Khalistani issue, about the Pannu issue, about the number of commanders from the Pakistani terrorist organization, Lashkar-e-Toiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, who have been mysteriously killed.
See, we have to understand when we have to see our narrative as a diplomatic country, as a democratic country. We know how do our communication, what we talk about Pakistan or Khalistani activists, we cannot use that same. We have not been using also the same tone and tenor with China, because we know China is a large nation with good arms and ammunition, equal powers with us. So we have to be very diplomatic in our approach. We also have to, as a nation, need to protect our land, our sovereignty against China, and we also know they are a strong enemy. So we haven't been using since independence the same tone and tenure what we use for China, for Pakistan. For Pakistan, we had done divided Pakistan into two parts. That's the power of India. But for China, we try to be docile, we try to be diplomatic with them so that we are on the same page. They don't bully us down. That's the only counter. We don't, as India, as a sovereign nation, and as an Indian diplomatic understanding, we are not land grabbers. What we do is we try to protect our sovereign land. We don't grab other lands. But China is known as a land grabber world over. So we are trying to be that South Asian force wherein we unite together with other smaller nations and try to be that force which can counter China and tell them to stop land grabbing. That is what the
But that's the contention, right? That's the political contention over here between the political parties. All right, I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.